What would you do if the life you built, your family, your routine, your everything, was shattered overnight? For Efrain and Jennifer Valdez, February 6, 2022, started as an ordinary Sunday. But by sunrise, their world had turned upside down. Their 26-year-old son Anthony was missing. Days later, their worst fears were confirmed. Losing a child is a heartbreak no parent should ever endure. It's the kind of pain that can destroy even the strongest relationships. But for Efrain and Jennifer, their story didn't end in despair. Instead, it became a testament to the resilience of love, the power of partnership, and the ability to find hope amidst unimaginable loss. How does a marriage survive the loss of a child? How do two people navigate grief, anger, isolation, and come out stronger together? Today, we'll dive deep into their journey, a story of heartbreak, healing, and hope. Welcome to the Wisdom of Sex. I'm Dr. Heather Wisdom. Today's show is a heavy one, but one I know is worth talking about. We're exploring a story of strength, resilience, and an unbreakable bond during the darkest moment in a marriage. Today, we share the heartbreaking story of Efrain and Jennifer Valdez, who lost their 26-year-old son Anthony in February 2022. It's a story of grief, transformation, and the incredible resilience of a relationship tested by unimaginable tragedy. This episode isn't just about loss, it's about how two people, bound by love and shared pain, found a way to grow closer even as their world fell apart. Something that doesn't always happen after the loss of a child. Sunday, February 6th, 2022 began like any other day for Jennifer and Efrain Valdez, but by the time the sun rose, their lives would be forever changed. Their son Anthony hadn't come home after a night out. As a 26-year-old adult, it wasn't unusual for Anthony to stay out late, but this time felt different. Jennifer knew something was wrong. Anthony was a self-proclaimed mama's boy and very close to his sister Bella. He always checked in, even if it was just a quick call or text. Jennifer posted footage from their Ring camera of Anthony leaving for the night. The last footage, the last pictures, the last time they saw their boy. It was heartbreaking to watch for everyone, me included. I knew Anthony when he was a baby. He was always smiling, a bright light in the world. He was only a few months older than my daughter, his cousin. Jennifer and I lived in the same apartment complex for a time before we all went our separate ways, but we always connected through extended family and social media. To hear of his disappearance and later, his death was devastating, not just for the Valdez family, but for everyone who knew and loved Anthony. For days, the Valdez family clung to hope as they searched for Anthony. He was last seen leaving the Level 10 nightclub in downtown Grand Forks around 1:30 a.m. Friends, family, and police scoured the area, asking residents to check surveillance cameras and their properties for any signs of him. But on February 10th, their worst fears were confirmed. Anthony's body was found in an alleyway, not far from where he was last seen. The autopsy revealed he died of hypothermia, and his death was ruled accidental. The loss of a child, adult or not, is one of the most devastating experiences a parent can endure. For many couples, the weight of this grief can strain their relationship to the breaking point. But for Efrain and Jennifer, it was a different story. While their grief was a roller coaster of emotions, it ultimately brought them closer together. To understand how they navigated their loss, we need to talk about the stages of grief and how they affect relationships. Grief isn't linear, it's messy, painful, and deeply personal. Denial and shock are often the first emotional responses to the devastating loss of a child. These reactions act as the mind's defense mechanisms, shielding parents from the full weight of their grief by creating a sense of disbelief or detachment from reality. While denial and shock serve a purpose in helping individuals cope with immediate trauma, they can also deeply impact relationships. Denial often manifests as an inability or refusal to accept the reality of the loss. Parents may cling to the hope that their child will walk through the door or that this is all a mistake. Shock, on the other hand, can leave individuals feeling emotionally numb, detached, or as though they are living in a dream. Parents may experience physical responses such as feeling disoriented, having difficulty concentrating, or struggling with basic daily tasks in the aftermath of a loss. They often operate on autopilot during this challenging time. Emotional responses like disbelief, numbness, or detachment are also common. Many parents describe the sensation of observing events from a distance, feeling unable to fully process what has occurred. Denial and shock can profoundly impact a relationship by creating emotional distance between partners, as each person processes the initial loss in their own way. One partner may outwardly express disbelief and cling to hope, while the other begins to confront the possibility of loss. This difference in processing can lead to misunderstandings or feelings of isolation. Additionally, shock often brings a sense of emotional numbness, leaving individuals feeling detached from their emotions and at times from each other. This detachment can make it hard for partners to connect or offer comfort. On a physical level, denial and shock can manifest as fatigue, loss of appetite, or trouble sleeping, further creating barriers to intimacy and connection. Partners may struggle to care for themselves, let alone support one another, adding yet another layer of difficulty to an already overwhelming situation. Coping with denial and shock as a couple requires patience, understanding, and a commitment to supporting each other through this disorienting phase of grief. It is essential to validate each other's feelings, recognizing that denial and shock manifest differently for everyone. One partner may need to talk openly about their disbelief, while the other may require silence and space to process their emotions. Respecting these differences and allowing each person to grieve in their own way is crucial for maintaining connection. Creating a safe space for one another can also help, especially when communication feels difficult. This might involve sitting together in silence, holding hands, or offering simple reassurance like, "I'm here," without pressuring your partner to articulate their feelings. Sometimes the best way to offer support during this stage is through practical actions, organizing meals, assisting with funeral arrangements, or handling day-to-day responsibilities. These small, tangible acts of care can provide stability and demonstrate partnership when emotions feel overwhelming or unreachable. By focusing on these steps, couples can navigate denial and shock in ways that foster connection and mutual support. Despite the disorienting nature of denial and shock, Efrain and Jennifer navigated this stage together. They channeled their disbelief into action, focusing on the search for Anthony. While their grief was raw and their emotions likely difficult to articulate, their shared hope kept them united. Even in the earliest, most confusing stages of grief, relationships can provide a foundation of strength. By leaning on each other, even in silence or uncertainty, Efrain and Jennifer, unknowingly, took the first steps toward healing, a journey that would continue as they moved through the stages of grief together. The next stage may be anger. Anger is a natural and often inevitable part of grief, particularly after the devastating loss of a child. It's rooted in the deep sense of injustice and helplessness that comes with such a tragedy. While anger can be a powerful emotion that helps us process grief, it can also be destructive if not understood or managed effectively. For grieving parents, anger can manifest in multiple ways and, if left unchecked, may strain even the strongest relationships. Grieving parents often direct their anger at the circumstances surrounding their child's death. This can include feelings of frustration over what caused the loss, such as an accident, an illness, or in Anthony's case, the harsh winter conditions that led to his death by hypothermia. After Anthony's death, they likely felt anger at the circumstances that allowed it to happen. Why was their son out walking in the cold? Why didn't someone see him and help? Why didn't he have a car to get home? These unanswered questions create a sense of powerlessness, fueling their frustration and grief. Anger at circumstances is common, but it's particularly challenging because there's no tangible target, nothing to fix or fight against. This can make the anger feel unresolved and unrelenting. Self-directed anger often comes from guilt, regret, or the what-ifs that haunt grieving parents. Even when logically a parent knows they are not to blame, the mind plays cruel tricks, searching for ways they could have prevented the loss. Jennifer and Efrain may have replayed the night of Anthony's disappearance repeatedly in their minds. Jennifer might have thought, "What if I had stayed up later and called him? Could I have gotten to him in time?" Efrain might have wondered, "Should I have made sure he had a ride home?" These thoughts, while deeply human, can create a cycle of blame and self-punishment that is difficult to escape. Self-directed anger often leads to feelings of inadequacy, shame, or unworthiness, making it crucial for grieving parents to show themselves compassion and recognize that their pain doesn't equate to fault. One of the most challenging aspects of grief is how anger can sometimes be directed at a partner. When a couple experiences the loss of a child, their grieving styles often differ, creating potential for misunderstandings, resentment, and feelings of being unsupported or alone. One partner may grieve outwardly, crying, talking about the loss, and seeking comfort, while the other may grieve inwardly, retreating into silence or distraction. This disconnect can lead to frustration or feelings of abandonment, as one partner might interpret the other's quiet processing as indifference, while the other feels overwhelmed by the need for discussion or outward expression. Blame and resentment can also surface, even when they are not logically justified. In the chaos of grief, it's not uncommon for one partner to subconsciously assign fault, asking questions like, "Why didn't you make sure they were safe?" or "Why didn't I do more?" These thoughts often stem from the deep pain and helplessness of the loss rather than true belief in blame, but they can still cause rifts if not acknowledged and addressed. Understanding that these emotions are a natural, though difficult, part of the grieving process is critical for couples navigating such profound sorrow. Despite the challenges, Efrain and Jennifer navigated this stage with care. They gave each other space to grieve in their own ways while also finding moments to come together. By communicating openly, they avoided letting their anger become a permanent wedge in their relationship. Instead, they channeled it into shared efforts to honor Anthony's memory and support each other. While anger is a natural response to grief, it must be acknowledged and managed to prevent long-term harm to a relationship. Open communication is essential. Couples should feel safe expressing their anger without fear of judgment. Sharing statements like, "I'm feeling so angry at everything right now," can create space for emotions to be released without being internalized or misdirected at a partner. Understanding and respecting each other's differences in grieving styles is equally important. One partner might prefer to vent their anger openly, while the other processes it quietly and internally. Recognizing that both approaches are valid helps avoid misunderstandings and resentment. Seeking support from a therapist or grief counselor can provide invaluable tools for navigating the complexities of grief-induced anger. Professional guidance can help couples communicate more effectively, work through feelings of blame, and find productive ways to express their emotions. Redirecting anger into healthy outlets, such as journaling, exercising, or engaging in creative activities, can also provide relief while honoring the memory of the child. Finally, patience and forgiveness are crucial. Grief can lead to moments of frustration or hurtful words, but practicing forgiveness, both for yourself and your partner, can pave the way for healing and reconnection. By addressing anger with compassion and intentionality, couples can preserve and even strengthen their bond in the face of profound loss. What may come next is depression and isolation. Depression and isolation are some of the most profound and challenging stages of grief, especially for parents grieving the loss of a child. During this phase, the weight of the loss becomes fully apparent, often leading to overwhelming sadness, hopelessness, and a sense of emotional disconnection. For couples, this stage can be particularly taxing, as each partner may retreat into their own pain, making it difficult to maintain a sense of closeness or support. Depression and grief goes far beyond sadness. It is a profound and consuming sense of emptiness that can leave parents feeling completely adrift. The loss of a child often strips away the sense of purpose or meaning in daily life, leaving a void that feels impossible to fill. The absence of the child becomes all-encompassing, touching every corner of existence. Emotionally, parents may experience waves of hopelessness, numbness, guilt, or deep regret. Some may cry frequently, unable to contain their sorrow, while others may feel so overwhelmed that they cannot cry at all, their emotions seemingly locked away. This inner turmoil is a hallmark of depression and grief, making it difficult to process feelings in a way that feels healing. Physically, grief can manifest as fatigue, disrupted sleep patterns, changes in appetite, and even physical pain. The body carries the weight of the loss alongside the heart, making even basic daily tasks feel insurmountable. Parents may find it hard to get out of bed, let alone engage with the world around them. Behaviorally, depression often leads to withdrawal. Parents may isolate themselves from friends, family, and even their partner, believing that no one can truly understand their pain. This isolation can deepen the sense of loneliness, creating a cycle that makes reconnection with others feel increasingly out of reach. Depression in grief is a heavy burden, but recognizing its many facets is the first step toward finding ways to cope and heal. For Efrain and Jennifer, the weeks and months after Anthony's death were filled with profound sadness. The reality of his absence settled in, and the routines of daily life felt empty without him. The joyful moments they once shared as a family were now overshadowed by grief. Anthony's absence likely hit Jennifer in deeply personal ways. She may have struggled with a sense of purpose, questioning how to move forward without her son's presence in her daily life. While Jennifer may have been more vocal about her emotions, Efrain might have internalized his grief, retreating into silence or distraction. For many men, societal expectations around stoicism can make it harder to express vulnerability, leading to further isolation. Their grief manifested differently, which could have created an emotional distance between them. However, their resilience came from recognizing these differences and finding ways to support each other, even when words felt impossible. Depression and isolation can pose significant challenges in a marriage or partnership, particularly because grief often feels deeply personal and difficult to share. During this stage, emotional withdrawal is common, as both partners may retreat into their own grief, leaving a sense of loneliness even when they are physically together. One partner might think, "Why aren't they comforting me?" while the other feels, "I don't know how to help them when I'm barely holding on myself." This mutual withdrawal can create a void that feels insurmountable if not addressed. Breakdowns in communication are another major impact of depression on relationships. Grief can make it difficult to articulate feelings, leading partners to avoid discussing their pain, sometimes to protect each other from further hurt, and other times because they simply cannot find the words. Over time, this silence can build emotional distance, making it harder to reconnect. The emotional weight of depression often disrupts physical intimacy as well. Partners may feel distant or uninterested in physical connection, which can add another layer of disconnection to an already strained relationship. The absence of intimacy can leave both partners feeling unsupported or unloved, further complicating the grieving process. Feelings of guilt also commonly arise during this stage. Partners may feel they aren't grieving enough or that they are failing to adequately support each other. This guilt can compound the emotional burden and lead to even greater withdrawal, as each person struggles with both their grief and the belief that they're not meeting their partner's needs. Together, these challenges underscore the importance of intentional efforts to maintain connection and support during this profoundly difficult time. The depression and isolation experienced after Anthony's death became part of their journey as a couple. While their relationship may have been a roller coaster, they made conscious efforts to support each other through this stage. They acknowledged their individual grief. They understood that their grieving processes would look different and gave each other space to mourn in their own ways. For Jennifer, this might have meant talking about Anthony often, while for Efrain it might have involved silent reflection or practical tasks to keep his mind occupied. Even when words were hard to find, Efrain and Jennifer leaned on the power of presence. Sitting together, holding hands, or simply acknowledging each other's pain became ways to connect during moments of isolation. Depression often leaves little room for joy, but Efrain and Jennifer found solace in small rituals that honored Anthony's memory. Sharing stories about him, lighting a candle, or creating ways to keep his spirit alive helped them feel connected, not just to their son, but also to each other. While they supported each other, Efrain and Jennifer also leaned on extended family and their community. This outside support provided them with additional outlets for their grief, relieving some of the pressure on their marriage. Coping with depression and isolation as a couple during grief requires intentional and compassionate efforts to maintain connection while respecting individual needs. Communication can feel overwhelming in this stage, so starting with small steps is key. Simple check-ins like, "How are you feeling today?" or "What's been on your mind?" can help foster dialogue without the pressure of diving into deep conversations all at once. These small exchanges can be a lifeline, gently reopening the channels of communication. It's also important to allow space while staying connected. Grief often necessitates moments of solitude, and giving each other permission to process independently is essential. However, making an effort to reconnect regularly, whether through a quiet meal together or simply sitting silently in the same room, can remind partners that they're not alone in their pain. Rekindling non-sexual intimacy is another way to bridge the gap that depression often creates. Small physical gestures like holding hands, hugging, or sitting close can foster a sense of comfort and closeness without the pressures of sexual intimacy, which might feel overwhelming during this time. These moments of connection can help rebuild trust and reinforce the bond between partners. Creating rituals together can provide a meaningful way to honor your child's memory while deepening your connection. Activities such as lighting a candle, planting a tree, or sharing a favorite story about your child can turn grief into a shared experience, allowing you to channel your sorrow into something tangible and healing. Finally, seeking professional help can offer invaluable support. Couples counseling or individual therapy can provide tools and strategies to navigate the complexities of grief and depression. A trained therapist can help bridge communication gaps, address feelings of guilt or resentment, and equip couples with ways to support each other as a team. Together, these strategies can help couples navigate depression and isolation, preserving and strengthening their relationship in the face of profound loss. Despite the heavy weight of depression and isolation, Efrain and Jennifer's relationship endured and even grew stronger. Their ability to navigate this stage with patience, understanding, and mutual respect speaks to the deep love and resilience they share. They showed that while grief can feel isolating, it doesn't have to isolate you from your partner. By leaning into their shared love for Anthony and supporting each other through the darkest moments, they not only survived their grief, they grew through it. Acceptance is often seen as the final stage of grief, but it's important to understand that acceptance doesn't mean the pain disappears or that the loss is okay. Instead, it represents a shift, a recognition that life has changed forever, and a decision to carry the grief in a way that allows for healing, growth, and forward movement. For parents like Efrain and Jennifer, acceptance marked the beginning of transformation, both as individuals and as a couple. Acceptance is a deeply personal and gradual process, one that allows individuals to integrate the loss into their lives without letting it entirely define their existence. It doesn't mean the pain disappears, but rather that life begins to take on a new shape, one that includes the grief but isn't solely consumed by it. On an emotional level, acceptance often brings a sense of peace that coexists with the ongoing presence of grief. Parents may find themselves reflecting on memories of their child with love and gratitude, rather than solely focusing on the pain of their absence. The sorrow remains, but it is softened by the joy of the time they shared. Behaviorally, acceptance may lead to a renewed focus on life's other relationships, goals, and routines. Parents often channel their grief into meaningful actions, such as creating traditions to honor their child's memory, supporting others in similar circumstances, or engaging in causes their child cared about. These actions provide a way to make sense of the loss and give it purpose. Perhaps the most significant shift comes in mindset. Acceptance brings the understanding that while life will never be the same, it can still hold moments of meaning, connection, and even joy alongside the sorrow. It's a balancing act, grieving the loss while continuing to embrace the possibilities of the future. Acceptance doesn't mean forgetting or moving on. It means moving forward with the memory of the child as a cherished part of life's journey. Efrain and Jennifer, acceptance didn't come quickly or easily. The months following Anthony's death were filled with unimaginable pain, but as time passed, they began to find ways to honor his memory and redefine their lives without him. Their journey through acceptance transformed not only their individual lives, but also their relationship. The process of acceptance transformed their marriage and deepened their relationship. Grieving together had been a roller coaster, but through patience, communication, and mutual respect, they emerged closer than ever. Their relationship grew stronger as they learned to support each other in ways they hadn't before. As they accepted Anthony's death, they found purpose in their pain. They began to focus on the future, spending more time with their daughter Bella and other family, and simply appreciating the love and connection they still had with one another. Transformation often begins when grief is channeled into meaningful action. Acceptance and transformation offer an opportunity for growth and deeper connection in a relationship, but reaching this stage requires ongoing effort and mutual understanding. As couples move toward acceptance, they often find themselves rebuilding trust and intimacy. Having faced the storm of grief together, they come to understand each other on a more profound level, witnessing vulnerability and learning how to provide support in ways they may never have before. This process can strengthen their bond, creating a foundation of trust built on shared resilience. Acceptance also has a way of shifting priorities. The loss clarifies what truly matters, often encouraging couples to focus more on their relationship, family, and shared goals. Petty conflicts and distractions may lose significance, allowing space for a more intentional and meaningful connection. For many couples, acceptance creates a shared purpose. This might involve honoring their child's memory through rituals, projects, or advocacy work, or simply committing to live in a way that reflects their love for the one they've lost. These joint efforts not only bring meaning to their grief, but also help couples move forward as a team. It's essential to acknowledge, however, that acceptance doesn't mean grief is over. Waves of sadness can arise unexpectedly, particularly around anniversaries, holidays, or other significant moments. Couples who embrace acceptance learn to support each other through these times, recognizing that grief is a lifelong journey. By leaning on each other during these moments, they continue to grow together, finding strength in their shared experience and love. Efrain and Jennifer's story exemplifies resilience and transformation through acceptance. They created healing rituals to honor Anthony's spirit, celebrating his birthday and sharing cherished memories. These actions gave their grief purpose and fostered unity. Embracing their differences was also crucial. Efrain and Jennifer learned to respect each other's unique grieving processes, which strengthened their relationship. Supporting one another while navigating their pain independently became a source of strength. Gratitude played a vital role in their transformation. Acceptance shifted their perspective, allowing them to find solace in their deep love for each other, the memories of Anthony, and a renewed appreciation for their relationships. Gratitude guided them as they moved forward with grace. Navigating the stage of acceptance offers couples an opportunity to strengthen their bond and find new meaning in their lives together, but it requires intentional effort and shared purpose. Celebrating the life of your child is one powerful way to create healing and connection. Practicing gratitude together is another key strategy. Reflecting on what you're thankful for, your partner, the memories you created with your child, and the resilience you've built through your grief can help shift focus from pain to appreciation, creating moments of light amidst the sorrow. Rebuilding intimacy, both emotionally and physically, can also play a significant role in fostering connection. Acceptance offers an opportunity to reconnect by sharing feelings openly, creating new traditions, or simply spending quality time together. Small gestures of closeness, like holding hands or cooking a favorite meal, can rebuild bonds and reaffirm your partnership. Finally, it's essential to acknowledge that grief is ongoing. Acceptance doesn't mean leaving the pain behind, but rather learning to carry it in a way that allows life to move forward. Be prepared for moments of sadness and support each other through these waves of emotion. By embracing these strategies, couples can navigate acceptance with compassion and strengthen their relationship as they move forward together. The pain of losing a child never fully goes away. It's possible to find peace and purpose amidst the sorrow. Through acceptance, couples can transform their grief into a powerful bond, one that honors the child's memory and strengthens their love for each other. The loss of a child is one of the most profound and life-altering experiences a couple can endure. It tests the strength of the relationship, the depth of love, and the ability to persevere through unimaginable pain. The loss of their son Anthony was a devastating blow, but their journey through grief also became a testament to resilience. Their story offers powerful lessons on how couples can navigate loss together and emerge stronger. Resilience doesn't mean the pain goes away, it means learning to carry it in a way that allows for growth and joy alongside the sorrow. Couples must recognize that grief will ebb and flow, and it's okay to not be okay. There is no right way to grieve. Be patient and compassionate with both yourself and your partner as you navigate the journey of healing together. Grief is an intensely personal experience, and no two people process it the same way. While one partner might feel a need to talk openly about their emotions, the other may prefer solitude and quiet reflection. The key lies in understanding and respecting these differences, allowing each person to grieve in their own way. A simple check-in, like saying, "I'm here when you're ready," can keep the door to communication open. Give yourself and your partner permission to grieve at your own pace. Celebrate the moments of light that come along the way, knowing they don't diminish your love for the one you've lost. The Valdez family's journey through grief offers profound lessons in strength. Despite the immense pain of losing their son, Efrain and Jennifer emerged stronger, not because the grief was easy, but because they chose to face it together. Their love, patience, and commitment to honoring Anthony's memory transformed their relationship into one of even greater strength and depth. Efrain and Jennifer's journey was one of transformation, built on mutual respect, understanding, and unwavering love. To couples navigating their own losses, take heart in their story. Let it remind you that even in the darkest times, resilience is possible. Together, you can honor your grief, cherish your memories, and build a future rooted in love. If you're navigating grief, know that you're not alone. Lean on those you love, take it one day at a time, and remember, it's okay to ask for help. Our time is up for today. Thank you for listening to The Wisdom of Sex. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need it. If you have a question, feel free to reach out on social media, email me at drheatherwisdom@gmail.com, or check out my website, drheatherwisdom.com. I also have merch available at the Wise Listeners store on my website. Well, that's it for today. Until next time, be open, be curious, don't be rude, know your limits, and stay wise.